Hello everybody, Pixel Passport here. So after spending a ton of time in the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, I've had a chance to test out all the weapons. And let me tell you, there's a lot to talk about. Some feel smoother, some got some major upgrades, and a few, well, they might take some time getting used to it. In this video, I'll break down everything I've learned about each weapon, what's changed, and what might be the best choice for you when the full game drops. So let's get started. For the first weapon, we'll talk about the Greatsword. So it's a classic, the Greatsword. If you love big damage, this weapon is your best friend. Every single hit feels like dropping a nuke on a monster. It's slower. Yeah, it is. It still has been slower, but before it has getting a lot of major updates. But that's a trade-off. Absolutely insane attack power, but you lose your mobility a little bit. One thing that's been improving over the years, mobility. The Greatsword used to feel way too slow and clunky, but Wilds has made some solid improvements. You're still heavy, but now you can reposition yourself a lot better. Plus, the blocking is fantastic. If you're a patient player who loves charging up attacks and timing them perfectly, this weapon is for you. Just keep in mind, it's not for button mashers. If you swing recklessly, you're gonna miss. A lot. But if you take your time, learn the monster's patterns, and land those massive hits, it's really just pure satisfaction. It's an amazing weapon, it's really strong. I've tried this weapon a lot of times. It's still not really like my type of weapon to play with, but I really do think I'm gonna maybe get a couple of times get deeper into the Greatsword and buy myself a weapon like this, and maybe even build something around it, because it's actually really a really fun weapon. It's really strong, it's really cool, and let's just be honest, having like a greatsword on your back feels pretty cool. Especially when you're like on your mount and you like swing that's a greatsword. It's really fucking cool. So it's really a good weapon, so if you like massive damage, but your mobility is not really an issue, go for the greatsword. You will not be disappointed. There's a lot of damage and we can always use a lot of damage, especially when the monster is going to sleep. A good charge attack on his head can almost make even the game. So for the next weapon, we'll talk about the sword and shield. Now, if you want something fast and easy to pick up, the sword and shield is a fantastic option. This is one of the most well balanced weapons in the game. You get speed, agility, a little bit of everything, without sacrificing too much power, you know? What makes this weapon stand out in the mobility? Well, first thing, you can kinda dodge quite easily. You can attack quickly and even block when needed. Of course, don't forget, it's a small shield, so don't expect to be able to block one of the major attacks of a monster. If it's like a Teustra, Ulunastra is coming up to you and is trying to do like the flicking attack with like explosion from everywhere, I'm not sure the shield will be able to withstand that. But nonetheless, it's still a good shield. So what makes this weapon even more amazing? Well, whether you're healing or using buffs or tossing bombs, you don't have to worry about sheathing your weapon first. It's quite fast, it's quite easy, and you make up time with it. So I'm not sure if it's like a lot faster, but it feels really like a. If you want to heal up, it's a lot easier to just put your weapon back in your bag and get healed up and just go continue the battle. The moveset is simple, but really effective. You can combo your slashes to shield bashes, and once you get the hang of it, you'll feel like a ninja dancing around the battlefield. If you like fast-paced combat and versatility, this is a great weapon for you. And also, it does look really cool. There are a couple of weapons that I've seen in the world. They look really nice, so you can really get like a cool satisfaction with a really nice feeling to it. Especially if you get like the right build on it. I really do think you can make a lot of damage. For the next weapon, so next up we have got the hammer. And this is the thing, it's all about staggering and knocking out monsters. If you love seeing monsters trip, stumble, and straight up get knocked out cold, this is the weapon for you. If you use a weapon like the hammer more than enough times on a monster's head, you will actually be able to knock him out. It doesn't go really fast, you need to do a couple of hits on the head. But once you get all of those hits into on his head, you will see you will be able to knock him out. And also, the good thing with that, you can also break his head. And lots of times, dragons or monsters have horns, and a lot of times you need those horns to get certain items. So the hammer is an amazing weapon to do that. But of course, the hammer doesn't have fancy mechanics, it's just pure brute force. Your goal is simple: aim for the monster's head and bash it until it drops. When you stun a monster, your team will love you because that's free damage time for everyone. The downside, it's a bit tricky to use at first because you don't have a shield, so you need to learn how to dodge properly. But once you get comfortable, you'll be dishing out some of the most satisfying KOs in the game. If you like aggressive up-close combat, the hammer, it's an absolute beast. Like, if you compare the battle tactics from World and here, it seems like it's a little bit more different. When you want to do the spinning attack, and if I'm correctly, in World you can just run and let go, it will spin automatically. But here you need to press a certain button to actually be able to do the spinning attack. So that's really one thing that you need to be patient of, because it takes a little bit of time to get used to the hammer. But it's not difficult, you know. It's quite easy and you'll get the hang of it. Alright, next up, if you prefer to be an unstoppable tank, then the lance is for you. This weapon, of course, it's all about defense, and in Monster Hunter Wilds, it's better than ever. With the new blocking mechanics, you can now counter monsters in crazy new ways. The lance lets you absorb hits without flinching, and if you time your counters right, you can punish monsters for attacking you. The moveset may not be flashy, but the damage output is surprisingly high, especially with the new additions. And just like you saw in the video, that blocking is so satisfying. It's just wow. When the first time I did that, I was so hyped. It was such a cool move. I really love that move. So much. It's really cool. Also, of course, the lance, it still has its basic attack. It's like running with a spear. But it's not as good that you will think. I was thinking, okay, if we use that, like to just go straight into the monster, it's not really that useful. It doesn't do like that much damage, but maybe I think with the correct build you would be able to do. But for now, I was a little bit disappointed by it, but because it can also bring you in a trouble. As you can see, I was running into with my shield, and even though I had my shield up, he was still able to hit me. So the lance requires patience. It's not about rushing in, it's about holding your ground, waiting for the right moment, and then striking with precision. If you like being the unshakable wall on the battlefield, the lance is a fantastic choice for you. And believe me, it will be very helpful in a lot of scenarios. So having a tank in your team, it's really useful. So now let's talk about one of the most stylish weapons in the game, the switch axe. This weapon has two modes: axe mode for mobility and sword mode for crazy damage. The key to mastering the switch axe is knowing when to switch form. The axe mode is great for spacing and movement, while sword mode lets you dish out ridiculous burst damage. Once you learn how to charge it up and unleash the full potential of the weapon, it's one of the most satisfying in the game. So, as you can see in the gameplay, you can see that I've actually been really trying to do the charge up. It's not actually really that easy, but once you get used to all the charge up and you know how to do it properly, it's such a strong weapon. It's really cool, and actually, surprisingly, it's really damn fast, which is something I actually did not expect to be that fast, which really makes it great. Because if that weapon was a slow weapon, it would make it so much more difficult to play properly with it. Because it's really strong already, so if it was slow, that will actually really make it very difficult. But I don't think it's really such a weapon that takes so long to learn. I think it's a weapon you can learn quite fast. And once you learn it, it'll be good. However, it does take some getting used to it, like I said. If you love technical weapons with a bit of learning curve, the Switch Axe is a great choice for you. And believe me, this weapon will also have a lot of cool setups and cool builds, and also a lot of cool weapons. I'm pretty sure with all the web monsters that come out, oh boy, it's gonna be cool. And now, if you ever wanted to fly around like a ninja, the insect glaive is a perfect weapon. This is the king of aerial combat, and it's really incredibly fun to use. A weapon that actually can help you go in the air and still slashing down the monsters. It's really useful, because a lot of monsters actually try to fly around and sometimes they stay in the air. If you don't have a gun or like a bow, or you're out of flash bombs, it's really annoying to get it actually down. But with the insect glaive, you're actually able to just jump in the air and actually just attack him a little bit. You will not be able to stay long in the air, but you'll still be able to do quite a lot of damage. And also, it can also dive down, but when doing that, you're actually able to do that and actually get a grip on a monster sometimes. So what I mean with that is when you're like on his back, you're just like slashing and then using a special attack, you're actually able to do that too with the weapon, which is really useful. But one major change in Wild is that you can now get a 2 Kinsect buffs before recalling a Kinsect, making the weapon feel even more fluid. The moveset is all about mobility, aerial attacks and high speed combos. However, this weapon takes time to master. If you just jump in and start swinging, you might struggle. But once you understand the mechanics, you'll be flipping, dodging and slashing through monsters like it's a parkour movie. Really, it really feels like that sometimes. You can make some really cool moves. You can actually really dodge a lot of moves also. But it can also really bring you in a lot of trouble if you're not careful enough. But if you like flying around, go for this weapon. Alright, okay, so now we have the light bowgun. If I'm correct, let me check. Oh no, we have the heavy bowgun. The heavy bowgun, it's quite good. It's not bad. It's very different from all the other weapons. But if you like to do damage from afar and actually still be quite safe because your range is actually really good, it's pretty much almost the ultimate firepower. But if you want to feel like an unstoppable walking turret, then the heavy bowgun is a weapon of choice. This thing hits like a truck, and in Monster Hunter Wilds, it's looking stronger than ever. So the heavy bowgun is all about big damage from a distance, unlike the light bowgun. This isn't about running and gunning. This is about positioning yourself, finding the right angle, and unloading devastating firepower. You're basically carrying a cannon on your back, and every shot feels impactful. With different ammo types, you can customize your playstyle. Want melt monsters with rapid fire? You got it. Want to obliterate them with explosive shots? Done. The variety of ammo makes this weapon feels versatile yet powerful. Now, let's talk about the downside. You're not exactly using bolt with this thing. The heavy bowgun slows you down, so positioning everything, it's really important. If you caught in the wrong spot, dodging won't save you. You have to plan ahead and know when to move. But there's the thing, while it's a heavy bowgun and some new movement options, making it feel a little more fluid than before, you're still slow, but you have ways to dodge, reposition yourself, and reload efficiently. Why play heavy bowgun? If you love high damage, tactical gameplay, and feel like an artillery unit, then this is the perfect weapon for you. Just remember, you're not a ninja, you are a tank. Play smart, stay at the right range, and unleash absolute destruction in every monster you face. Next up, we have the longsword. The longsword. This is probably the coolest looking weapon in the game. If you want to feel like a samurai staring in your own anime, this is the one for you. What makes the longsword special? As its spirit gauge, you need to build it up to release faster and stronger attacks. Wilds has introduced some new moves, making it feel more fluid and cinematic. It's all about timing, dodging, and striking with precision. This is one of the most satisfying weapons to use, but it also requires good positioning and awareness. If you love a weapon that's flashy, fast, and rewarding, the longsword is just perfect. I know for a fact I will be the one to play most of it with the longsword. This weapon is just beautiful. I've played longsword for such a long time and I've always loved it. It's so much fun. It's so cool. The moveset it's so damn fun. I love that set. It just especially the new moveset, it's really cool. I love every single bit of it. So that will be really a weapon that I'm going to master. I've got already quite used to it. There are still some moves that I need to master a little bit more, but I'm sure it won't take long for me to master it. It's a weapon I've been using since the beginning of Monster Hunter, and we are now in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I'm still planning on using it. It's just a cool weapon, it's such a fun weapon. I'm all up for it. Alright, so now we got the dual blades. If speed is your thing, look no further. Then the dual blades this is the fastest weapon in the game. And it's all about non-stop, relentless attacks. The new dodge counter mechanic makes them feel even better, but just better. If you time your dodge right, you can immediately counter with a powerful silver blade attack. If I'm correct, that's the name. It rewards aggression and skill. You don't have much defense, so dodging is your only option. But if you love fast, high energy combat, the dual blades are an absolute blast. It's so much fun, it's so damn strong, and believe me, if you are really good with this weapon, it's so damn cool. Look at those moveset, it looks so good, it's so beautiful. Oh my god. It really feels like an anime too. Just the longsword and the dual blade feels like two weapons just straight out of an anime. This looks just so clean. I'm in love with this weapon. This weapon is just mwah. It's really like a cherry on the cake. How it looks is especially now the dodge seems like a dodge when you're doing perfectly. You can dodge any attack and you won't get any damage from it. So it's really something you need to pay attention to it if it's really correct. Because I'm not sure. But if it is, and you're really good at timing, and you can also really build like a great build around it, whoo, I'm 100% sure this weapon will be amazing. It's such a cool weapon. I'm loving it, and there's a big chance that I'm also gonna be playing this weapon a lot. So now we have the horn. The horn, that's a little bit more tricky for me because I'm not the biggest fan of the horn, because it's way too slow for me. But if you want to be the MVP of the hunt while still crushing skulls, the hunting horn is your go-to weapon. It's not just a support weapon, it's a powerhouse that buffs your team while smashing monsters in the face. A weapon that sings and smashes. That's literally it. The hunting horn has always been known as a musician choice. A weapon that lets you play songs to boost your allies, but let's be clear, this thing is not just a supported tool. It's a massive blunt weapon that deals heavy KO damage, making it a real threat in any fight. The impact from its swings can stagger and even knock out monsters, just like a hammer, if I'm correct. The best part, while you're attacking you're also building up melodies. So you're fighting and supporting at the same time. You don't have to stop swinging to buff the team, you just keep playing and slaying. Monster Hunter Wild has made the hunting horn smoother than ever. The moveset is more fluid, playing songs doesn't interrupt the flow of combat. Now we can chain attacks together seamlessly while keeping the buffs rolling. And the buffs, they are better than ever. Attack boost, defense increase, stamina recovery, you name it. Excuse me. The hunting horn has it. If you're in the team, you're everyone's best friend, and if you're solo, don't worry, you buff yourself too, making a one-man army. Why play it? If you love supporting your team while dealing massive damage, this is the perfect weapon. It got power, utility, and style. Because who doesn't love beating a monster while dropping sick beats? You're not just a support player, you're a wrecking machine with a rhythm. So if you like this, just go for it. Also, just look at the weapons. It's a little saxophone. Who doesn't want to beat up a monster with just a simple saxophone? You will feel like Lisa Simpsons. So you'll play that weapon, I'm sure. Alright, next up, we got the heavy... Wait, let me be sure. This is the Gunlance. My apologies. The Gunlance is actually more fun than I will think. I never actually really played the Gunlance, but I tried it here and actually it was surprisingly quite fun and really strong. So if you want a weapon that's all about huge explosions, unshakable defense and a relentless offense, then the Gunlance is for you. This is just not a lance, it's a walking artillery cannon that turns any hunt into a battlefield. At first glance, the Gunlance looks like a heavier version of the lance, great for blocking, steady movement and built for defense. But the biggest difference is you're not just stabbing your target, you're blowing them up. With every attack, the Gunlance has shelling, a mechanic that lets you fire explosive rounds directly into a monster, dealing massive fixed damage that ignores armor. The best part, you don't need to worry about weak spots. If you can hit it, you can hurt it. In Wilds, the Gunlance has gotten some insane upgrades. The movement feels more fluid and the shelling mechanics have been fine-tuned as well to feel more satisfying. And then there's the new counter guard move. If you block an attack at the perfect time, I think you can also get an instant retaliation shot that sends huge explosions straight into your enemy. Not to mention, the Wyvern's Fire strongest move, a gigantic blast that melts everything in its path. It has a cooldown, but when it lands, woo man, it's a beautiful chaos. If you love a weapon that mixes tanky defense with high damage explosions, it's perfect for you. It's slower than some weapons, but every heal feels weighty and destructive. And unlike ranged weapons, you don't need to keep your distance. You're up close, face to face with the monster, delivering explosive punishment. You're basically walking around with a fortress on one arm and a cannon in the other. Alright, so now we have the Charge Blade. The Charge Blade was also a really fun weapon to play with, but very difficult. I had so many difficulties to get actually used to this weapon, because the moveset is actually changing all the time, and I wasn't really that good. So the Charge Blade is one of the most complex yet rewarding weapons in Monster Hunter. It's like having two weapons in one. A swift sword and a shield for building up energy, and a massive axe that unleashes devastating elemental attacks. If you love technical gameplay, high burst damage and flashy finishers, this might be the weapon. At first the Charge Blade feels like a standard sword and shield. You get fast slashes, solid defense and smooth mobility, but every attack you land builds up files. Think of them like batteries, charging up with energy. Once they're full, you can store that energy into your shield, making your block stronger and powering up your big axe mode attacks. And once you've built up energy, it's time to transform into axe mode. And this is where the real fun begins. Every swing is massive, but the real highlights, the super amped elemental discharge. This is one of the most cinematic and destructive moves in the entire game. Your hunter plunges into the monster and releases huge explosions, dealing tons of elemental and impact damage. And in Monster Hunter Wilds, they've made it even smoother. The switching between modes is more fluid, and the axe animations feels heavier and more powerful. Plus, a new moveset lets you glide across the ground, closing the gap on enemies and setting up a massive finisher. So why play it? If you love weapons that reward technical skill, precise timing, the Charge Blade is one of the most satisfying weapons to master. It's a weapon that's all about preparation and execution. Build up energy, store it, and unleash it insane damage at the right moment. Alright, next up we got the Light Bowgun. The Light Bowgun, I've played that weapon a couple of times also in Worlds and other Monster Hunters, but this weapon actually can do a lot more than you think. It can use like some kind of minigun And that minigun is actually quite strong. Actually, I'm actually quite surprised because normally you will think it doesn't do that much damage. So the light bowgun is kind of different definition of a run and gun. In Monster Hunter, it's fast and mobile and deadly, but it allows you to dish out serious damage from distance while staying out of harm's way. If you like precision shooting, high speed movement, and a tactical playstyle, the light bowgun might be perfect for you. Unlike its heavier counterpart, the heavy bowgun, the light bowgun trades raw power for speed and flexibility. You can fire off rapid shots, dodge quickly, and reposition yourself with ease. This means you will always be in control of the battlefield, strafing around monsters while raining down bullets. In Monster Hunter Wilds, light bowgun has gotten some serious upgrades. One of the biggest changes is the addition of the new movement options, allowing to reload while dodging, making it even harder for monsters to land a hit on you. There's also a new quick draw mechanic that lets you fire instantly after a roll, keeping your DPS high while maintaining mobility. And that's not enough, there's a new ammo buffing system where certain shots can enchant your next rounds, leading to a huge burst of damage. It's easy to learn, but hard to master. But you'll need to manage your ammo types, positioning, and dodging to really bring out its full potential. But if you get to it, you will see it's a really fun weapon to play with. So this weapon is incredibly satisfying, so if you love fast combat and precise shooting and keeping monsters on their toes, the light bowgun is calling your name. Alright, so we have one last one. We got the bow. The bow is still like a very strong weapon. It always has been, especially in Monster Hunter Wilds. The bow was an amazing strong weapon. It has been used a lot of times for speedruns to actually kill monsters in such a fast way. So the bow is perfect weapon for those who want to strike from a distance while keeping up a constant barrage of arrows. It's fast, fluid, and incredibly stylish, rewarding players who masters aiming, dodging, and stamina management if you like high-speed combat, elemental attacks, and skill-based gameplay. The bow might just be your best friend. Unlike other ranged weapons, the bow doesn't rely on ammo management. Instead, it focuses on stamina management. You'll need to charge your shot, dodge at the right moment, and release powerful combos to maximize your damage. And let's not forget the coatings. These let you modify your arrows for extra effects. Want to paralyze a monster? There's a coating for that. Want to poison them over time? Go for it. Want to deal explosive damage? With the blast coating? Absolutely. The bow is all about adapting and maximizing your damage output. So new mechanics in Monster Hunter Wilds. In Monster Hunter Wilds, the bow has received some major improvement. First, there's a new perfect release mechanic, where if you time your shot correctly, you fire a stronger enchanted arrow that can deal massive burst damage. Dodge rolling has also been upgraded. Now you can change dodges into charged shots, keeping your momentum and damage output high. So this makes the bow feel more fluid and dynamic than ever before. So why play the bow? The bow is for players who love fast skill-based gameplay. It's a weapon that rewards accuracy, stamina control, and proper positioning. If you enjoy dodging attacks at the last second, hitting a monster in their weak spots, and firing off devastating dragon piercer shots, this is the weapon for you. It takes time to master, but once you do, you feel unstoppable, raining arrows down like a true monster-slaying marksman. So that was it for today's video. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and please tell me in the comments which weapon you will play. I know in fact I will play mostly the longsword because that weapon is still just amazingly fun and really cool. So yeah, that will be the weapon that I will use for most of it. So tell me in the comments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.